Hello and welcome to this maiden edition of Sporty Nerd with ARMISports TV. This is a production of ARMISports TV. ARMISports TV is spelled with an I, A-R-M-I, Sports TV. And yes, it's going to be a great sporting content driven majorly by a lot of great content around the world of sports and as well as local content. We keep our eye on local content, both in the football, tennis, what have you, from time to time. And it's going to be definitely something you want to keep an eye out for. I'm going to be doing this alone for today. My name is Bakari Abdulmajid, but as well from time to time we're going to have guests talk to us about various issues, both in football, tennis, Formula One, what have you. Yes, this is a great one starting today in the city of Ibadan. Yes, we can't wait to start this one. And like I said, my name is Bakari Abdulmajid. You can catch me up on Twitter, on IG, with just one handle at simply_ambo. Yes, like I said, once again, this is powered by ARMISports TV. And yeah, no wasting of time. Let's go straight into what we have for today. And I'm going to be talking about 3 or 4 talking points for today. As we all know, the transfer window closed yesterday. It's going to be one of the things I'm going to be talking about. We also have a very interesting thing that has been happening in Nigerian football this week, which is the bid to host the Under-20 Female World Cup next year. Do you think this is a possibility for Nigeria? Well, I think it's a possibility for Nigeria, and I think on that note, I'm going to start here. Yes, this is something that, I can't remember the last time we hosted a great tournament, even if it was underage, in Nigeria, and I think it's going to be a great one for Nigeria. You know, we had FIFA officials coming to Nigeria on Monday, and they've inspected venues all around the country: Lagos, Asaba, Uyo, as well as Benin City. You know, we've had officials go around these venues and, check out what we have and how ready we are to host this great tournaments. You know, the underage category is always one, Nigeria has dominated over the years, especially when it comes to the footballing scene. Well, what I think about this, I think if we organize well, first of all, when you're hosting great tournaments, you need organization. And honestly, I've seen some of the venues for this tournament, proposed for this tournament, and I feel like we have great facilities preparing at these major venues. And we've also talked about, we've also seen the government of some of these cities back the process. And I think this is a good one. I think seeing the synergy between, not just the NFF and the federal government to make this happen for Nigeria is a great thing to watch as a Nigerian. And a lot of people might say, yes, even if we host, the last time we hosted something here, what happened to it, blah, 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 like that. Facilities go to rot after major tournaments like that. But I think the important thing is the image it creates for us as a nation. The money is going to generate into the economy for that 4 or 6 weeks that we are going to be hosting. If we do get this bid through and it's accepted and Nigeria are declared host of the Under-20 Female World Cup in 2020, it's going to be a great one. I mean, great facilities, nice one for Nigeria. It's going to be, not just good PR for Nigeria, it's going to really help grassroots football develop in Nigeria because, as hosts, we're definitely going to be turning up as, one of the favorites to do well at that tournament. And we have great girls all over the country playing for different local teams in Nigeria. Yes, and I think, it's going to be a beautiful tournament to watch. I can't believe, hosting something like this. The last time I remember we hosted something was, I think, the Under-17 World Cup, and we went on to win it. So I think, home advantage is always key in tournaments. Home advantage, great PR. What more can you ask for? So I think we're going to keep our fingers crossed and hope that we get, that bid accepted and we are declared host of that tournament next year. Okay, yes, moving on from that one. I think one other thing that did catch my fancy this week was definitely, you cannot avoid it, is the transfer window. Yes, officially shut for the English Premier League yesterday, 5 p.m. UK time. And we've seen a lot of deals go through. Even at the last minute, we've seen so many things happen. We saw unexpected deals happen as well. Even our own Alexander Iwobi got moves. I think, talking about Alexander Iwobi now, I'm going to start from him. And I think, we've had lots of Nigerians move over the summer. We've had the likes of Victor Osimhen move to Lille, replacing Nicolas Pepe, who went to Arsenal. And a little bit something is coming on Pepe later, and I think I'm going to be doing something about the top 5 transfer signings of this window. And yes, Pepe is involved, so I'm going to come back to that one. But talking about Nigerians and how they moved this summer, we had our own ex-captain John Mikel Obi moving from Middlesbrough on the free transfer to Trabzonspor in Turkey, and he's had his debut, very quiet debut in a 2-2 draw. I think yesterday. That one was yesterday. No, not much contribution for our own. He came off the bench and made a quiet debut, not really doing much, but we'll keep our fingers crossed for our ex-captain, and we hope he does very well in Turkey and keeps doing well for his career. More exciting is the transfer, or was the transfer, of Victor Osimhen. Like I mentioned earlier, Alexander Iwobi completed a £30 million move to Everton yesterday from Arsenal FC. Yes, that was a great one, and I think for a long time people have said he has not really developed and he has not gotten to that level we need him to be at on the Nigerian scene. But I feel like people are too quick to judge a player like Alexander Iwobi. He's still only 23, and he has time to fix his career. He has time to reinvent his game, get his style right, be more consistent, and I think that's one thing we need from him. And I feel like this move could do a world of wonders for Alexander Iwobi. Why? Because number one, yes, people have said he has his path to first team shirt blocked by the likes of Theo Walcott, Gylfi Sigurdsson, and Bernard is also in that squad. And you think that, would he get to start? Would he get to, fight for, or will he just be a squad member in that team? I feel like, Alexander Iwobi is he was a wonder kid for Nigeria, and we all wanted to see him emulate his uncle JJ Okocha. And yes, we've not really seen that about him, but this guy is full of so much potential. He's full of skills and abilities that are key and needed for Nigerian football. And I think moving to Everton under a coach like Marco Silva, he's going to definitely get game time. Even if it's in the cup games, he's going to fight for his shirt and he's going to play in the wide positions. Maybe he might need a little time to adapt to his new teammates, as well as some of the conditions in there. But it's a great move for Alexander Iwobi, if you ask me. Okay, I've ranted on about Alexander Iwobi. I've talked about John Mikel Obi. We also have someone else who got a very interesting move in talking about our own dear Odion Ighalo, who moved to Shanghai Shenhua. And he has not been able to play, yes, but then he's had injury problems. And what I really wanted to talk about on Odion Ighalo's case was the fact that he was not sacked by his club, but then he was fined by his club yesterday for posting on social media, despite the fact that he's undergoing rehabilitation on his injury yesterday. And that was one that I didn't really like. Though he's come out to say he's retiring from the Super Eagles, but I feel like when you're rehabilitated from injury, you should keep away from distractions. And I agree with his club here. He needs to keep it professional. He needs to stay intact. Yes, I mentioned earlier that I was going to be talking about 5 top signings for me as the transfer window went down. Yes, number 5, I'd like to start from Rodrigo, who signed for Manchester City. Big deal, big signing. He was not the only signing. Joao Cancelo also made a pre-deadline day move to Manchester City, and it was, just really balanced for Manchester City. And I personally think they are one of the best teams in the transfer window. They did their business quietly. They got in transfers that, would suit what Pep needs to keep up the title challenge. And, it bolsters the team for a Champions League fight this season. And I know most people might not give them a chance, but you have to reckon with the fact that these guys are going to be in the reckoning for the UEFA Champions League title this season. Not just because they have a great squad, but because they play well. They have a manager who is tactically adaptable to any situation. And bringing in the likes of Rodrigo for someone as backup to someone like Fernandinho, although I feel like, he's going to get more game time than Fernandinho this season because, if you're breathing in a new talent into the squad to replace an old leg, he definitely needs game time. And I've seen him going straight into the starting lineup for City, with no hassles at all. And I feel like, this guy is going to be someone great for them. He fits the specifications. And if you watch this game against Liverpool in the Community Shield, you will know that this guy has the ability to not just hold the ball, tackle, and, make great blocks as a defensive midfielder. He can also progress the ball into the attacking half, do great things, nice passes to keep the team moving. And I feel like someone like this has been needed for Pep's team for a while now. Fernandinho has done a great job, believe me. De Bruyne is also in there. They've got great signings, great team. So good job, Manchester City, winners of the transfer window, if you ask me. Yes, it's not by quantity, but the quality and how tailored to your needs are these signings. Definitely moving on to number 4. I think Griezmann signed for Barca in a very huge deal as well, over 100 million euros. He moved to Barca. He's been talking about this since January. We've known that this move was highly likely coming this summer. So great move for him, great move for Barcelona. Still talks about whether Neymar is going to move as well, but the transfer window in Spain is still open, so a lot of things can still happen. But I guess this is a good move for Griezmann as well as Barcelona because they definitely need someone to fit in to that system when Luis Suarez cannot go the 38th game mile. And number 3 will have to be someone who signed, a young player who signed for Atletico Madrid. His name is Joao Felix. Yes, this guy is 20 years, just 20 years, and he's doing amazing stuffs already. Already a UEFA Nations League champion with Portugal. I mean, going the distance with the Portuguese national team last summer after the season was concluded. Made his move to Atletico Madrid for 120 million euros, and we've watched him in pre-season. He's done fantastically well. They almost don't miss Antoine Griezmann just because this guy is present in that squad. And you have to believe me, Atletico Madrid, with this guy going forward this season, have a very fluid attacking system. And this is something you don't see of a regular Atletico team. They have usually been built to counter-attack, but now they can counter-attack, they can defend. They also have a good setup in front to do what they can do and to play with these players at the best of their abilities. They have Morata, they have Diego Costa. Good heads in there. Heads in Diego Costa as well to keep the likes of Joao Felix in line. And, it's just a great fluid attack for Atletico Madrid, I beg your pardon, going into next season. Great signing for Atletico Madrid as well. And I'm going to be talking about number 2 on this list is going to be Nicolas Pepe. Yes, I mentioned Nicolas Pepe earlier, and I think this guy is a great buy for Arsenal, not just because he's from Lille and not just because he has played for Lille. He's got so many goals and so many assists in last season's League One. In last season's League One, sorry about that. In last season's League One competition, and I can't remember the exact number of assists and goals he got now, but he definitely had a handful of them. He definitely is one guy that has talent. I saw him at the AFCON, though Ivory Coast were not able to do much at the AFCON. They really relied on the trickery and pace of someone like Nicolas Pepe. To me, Zaha failed to turn up, and most of the creative burden was put on this guy's shoulders. And I think most people feel like this guy is one to watch for the future, but not just the future. This is one season where I feel like Arsenal might really come into their own, do very well for themselves with some of the signings they've got. They got in David Luiz as well. That one is definitely another topic because, his move from Chelsea to Arsenal was, definitely a much maligned move. A lot of talking points from that one as he went down yesterday. Finally got the move through David Luiz. And not to go off point, I was talking about Pepe and why he's a great signing for Arsenal. I feel like he's someone Arsenal have needed for a long time, especially under Emery. They need a winger, a natural winger who can, take on his man 1v1, create chances, move into the box, create opportunities for the forwards. And they do have deadly forwards in Lacazette and Aubameyang. So the trio up front this season is going to be an interesting one to watch. Nicolas Pepe, Lacazette, as well as Aubameyang doing great things for us now this season, and you feel like, it's going to be a very huge season for them if these three can turn up the goals and assists needed to not just push them into the top four, but at least finish above their rivals Tottenham in North London. That is definitely one thing Arsenal fans have been wishing for in years now, and it's not really happened. They're going to be playing in the Europa League again. I feel like Emery has a second crack at the Europa League as well this season, and with a better team, a better suited team, maybe a slightly more balanced team, though they still needed more signings. Obviously, a lot of people talked about them needing defensive cover for the likes of Mustafi, and but now they've got the likes of Chambers, they've got Mustafi. They still have Mustafi, even though error prone. They have David Luiz as well, and the role of David Luiz might just be something different from what we saw at Chelsea last season. Most people have talked about him playing in a back three for them, with the likes of Pepe, Aubameyang and Lacazette playing in attack for them, and you can just see how Emery might try to use different tactics and different formation to get the best out of his squad. And I think that is one key reason why Arsenal are going to be in the top four this season. Yes, believe me, I said it. They are going to be in the top four this season. And number one on my list has to be Tanguy Ndombele, the guy who went to Tottenham Hotspurs for £55 million. Great signing for Tottenham, not just because they've needed a guy like him. He's big, he's powerful, he's strong. He can, make tackles, he can drop deep to collect the ball. He can also progress the ball really neatly with neat 1-2s with teammates and things like that. He was one of the best back when he was in French League One, and this guy is definitely one of the signings of the season for me. And if you ask me, he's not just someone who comes into the first team lineup immediately. He's also someone that Poch needs as much as Tanguy Ndombele needs tutelage of someone like Mauricio Pochettino. And it's going to be a great signing you might want to watch out for. This gives a little bit of, a great solidity at the base of that midfield for Tottenham. It was something they lacked last season. They really couldn't rely on either Wanyama or anybody in their run into the Champions League final last season, but they've gotten Ndombele, and what a response it has been from Tottenham Hotspur this summer. They've gotten the likes of Ryan Sessegnon as well as Tanguy Ndombele. Great signings, if you ask me, for a team that couldn't sign players for 18 months. Unbelievable, right? I believe this guy is someone who will come not just into that midfield to give them solidity, but he's also going to be one of the creative influences. Like I mentioned earlier, he's able to play in the attacking third as a very, very strong and dependable box-to-box midfielder. Yeah, moving on from the top five transfers that I just ran down, I'm going to be talking about, the Premier League is back this weekend. A lot of people are excited. I am excited. So many talking points, and definitely there is the Super Sunday clash between Manchester United and Chelsea. Two teams who, really, really struggled last season. Chelsea ended up in the top four. Manchester United couldn't. They ended up sixth place under new manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. This season, you feel like, these two are two teams who are going to be really, really, really fighting for Europa League places. Yes, if you ask me, there are going to be two teams who are going to be fighting for Europa League places, mainly because, Chelsea, with their transfer ban, couldn't do much in the transfer window, but have a lot of potential in the squad they have currently. And you look at Manchester United as well. They've done some business as well. Got in Daniel James from Swansea. They also got in Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who I think was a great signing. What they mentioned to him as one of the signings of the season, though, because he solved a key problem for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer sides. They've been needing a right back who can, defend well and contribute in the attacking phase as well. And also getting Harry Maguire, the most expensive defender in the world right now, for £80 million. Great signing. It's going to be a very open game. I'm going to just talk about, what I feel this game will be like tactically on Sunday. It's going to be a very open game. Very, very interesting and exciting encounter. First game at home at Old Trafford for Manchester United. Going to be, it's going to be fireworks, because these two teams are going to want to show that, they are teams that can compete in the top 4 this season as early as possible. The first 30-45 minutes could be a bit stiff, but I see these guys coming into their own later into the second half, maybe most likely goals for both sides, definitely. And I feel like, you know, the new signings would show what they got. The likes of Pulisic will also be brilliant for Chelsea, as well as you might want to watch out for Barkley in his new role for Chelsea this season. I feel like it's going to be something that will help them transition the ball much faster than they did last season. And yes, on that note, I will be rounding up today's episode of Sporty Nerds. Yes, I have been yours, Bakari Abdul Majid, signing out.